Interesting here, Adam, that the Giants did not take the more senior member of Bill Belichick's staff, the OC, Josh McDaniels. They went with Judge. What more can you tell us about how this all went down?
Listen, Joe Judge spent Monday with Giants officials, and I was told that it was a very impressive interview. So impressive that the two sides began negotiations Monday night, which sent a signal to Matt Rule, the Panthers head coach, that obviously he might not have an opening in New York. The Giants obviously were willing or given the chance to match that offer, but they were down the road with Joe Judge, the Patriots special teams coordinator and wide receivers coach, and decided to stick with him. They were finalizing that deal this morning. Joe Judge is going to be the next head coach of the New York Giants, and they just felt incredibly impressed with him. I think the upset here is that Josh McDaniels, who was supposed to interview in New York with the Giants on Wednesday, didn't even get in the door, that the Giants saw enough from Joe Judge and felt comfortable enough with Joe Judge that they just moved ahead and hired him as their next head coach, never having spoken to Matt Rule or Josh McDaniels, with Matt Rule going to Carolina and Josh McDaniels now slated to interview in Cleveland on Friday with the Browns about their head coaching vacancy, with them being the last team here that has an opening.
All right, to add another twist to this story, the Giants have asked for and received permission from the Cowboys to speak with Jason Garrett about their vacancy at offensive coordinator. Ed Werder reporting that. What more do you know about that story?
David, I'm told that the Giants submitted this request on Sunday, that they were thinking of him as their offensive coordinator. They love Jason Garrett, much like Jerry Jones loved Jason Garrett, but the Giants had other head coaching candidates that they preferred, that they were always going to hire one of those. I don't believe, from all the conversations I've had around the league, that Jason Garrett ever was in play for the Giants head coaching job, but they were thinking of him as a potential member of the staff because he's worked for the organization before. He knows the Mara family. They have high regard for him. They know what he could bring for a young quarterback in Daniel Jones, and Joe Judge is going to need strong coordinators to help run the Giants offense and defense. And so Jason Garrett now becomes a candidate for the Giants offensive coordinator job, which I think is the job that they always were thinking of him in. He's not going to get a head coaching job in this particular cycle, maybe one day again, but right now the Giants are thinking of him as a potential coordinator.
All right, great resource for Joe Judge if Jason Garrett decided to go there as the OC. Let's go back to the Cleveland position. As you were saying, Josh McDaniels going to get an interview there. Who else might be in play for that last job?
David, let me spell out the Browns' head coaching interview schedule for you the rest of this week. On Wednesday, they're going to interview the Eagles' defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. On Thursday, Browns officials are going to be in Minnesota to interview the Vikings' offensive coordinator, Kevin Stefanski. On Friday, the aforementioned Josh McDaniels will be in Cleveland, at least he's scheduled to be in Cleveland, to interview with Browns officials. The team already has interviewed Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy, 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, the Ravens offensive coordinator Greg Roman. That gives you an idea here of what Cleveland is thinking at this point in time. I'm told the Browns want to have a coach in place by Saturday. McDaniels will be the last one to interview on Friday, and then the Browns will be able to make their decision about what they want to do going forward here.
The jobs are going fast and furious. The Browns, the last one open. Adam Schefter giving us the very latest there. Thank you, Adam. All right,
Thanks,
Carrie,
David.
back to you.
All right, David. So many of you may be asking, much like we were in the newsroom, who is Joe Judge? Judge would be joining the Giants again after 8 seasons with the Pats, just explained very well by that Adam Schefter guy. 2019 was his first coaching time as special teams coordinator and wide receivers coach. Judge originally joined New England as an assistant special teams coach in 2012, promoted in 2015. Prior to that, spent 3 seasons as an analyst at Bama under who else but Nick Saban. So let's bring in our analyst as well, Ryan Clark. RC, so we're sitting in the newsroom and we hear Joe Judge.
Right.
And of course, we're like, wait, what? What happened? Explain that to us. Because it may seem odd to folks at home, but as Adam so clearly explained, apparently he was so impressive they needed not to go any further. So talk to me about what you first thought once you learned Joe Judge was the head coach.
Well, the same feeling you had when you hear John Harbaugh in Baltimore years ago, or when you hear Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh around that same time, just a year before. This is a guy who comes in, he blows away the Mara family with this interview. They understand he may be great as a leader of men. And listen, they've tried the offensive coordinator thing. You have Pat Shurmur, you go with McAdoo, and those guys don't work out. Sometimes you need someone that understands how to organize, how to energize, how to delegate. And it seems that Joe Judge has learned under the best. When you're a special teams coach, you deal with every player on the team, unlike an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. This is somebody who can have his pulse on a team and understand how things can work. I love the fact that the Giants went with their gut on who they felt did a great interview, on who they felt would fit what their vision was for this team. And so to me, this is a good hire. This is a hire that they went with their instincts and not based on what other people thought about their candidates.
Okay, so it's interesting that you say that and you're putting it into context that this guy is someone who talks and touches every single player on the team, so it makes sense. But if your first gut reaction is why not even listen to someone by the name of Josh Daniels, who everyone says is so amazing.
Right. Well, the thing I think is this guy blew you away. Listen, if you find the right one, it's not about continuing to date after you find her to see if maybe somebody is going to be better, because she's the one. And when you look at what they felt about this guy, they were already in the works of getting a contract done. So why continue to look? Why continue to cloud the picture if you feel like you found someone that can help your team win football games? You're coming from McAdoo. You're coming from Shurmur. You've been in this position 2 of the last 5 years. You need to figure out a way to get a long-term answer with Daniel Jones at quarterback. You know you're set there. Now you have a coach that you think can lead the team, not just work with your quarterback. If you want to ask how that works for picking a coach just to work with a quarterback or just to do offense, talk to John Dorsey about Freddie Kitchens. That lasted 1 year. Find your guy, not based on what other people think or what your quarterback wants, and that's how you win football games. If you look at the AFC North, their 2 best teams did that over a decade ago, and they still have their men.
We're so glad you're watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, make sure you subscribe to ESPN Plus. We'll see you there.